The Galactic Empire's mockery. The Galactic Empire was a force to be reckoned with across the stars. Their name was known. They were powerful, ruthless, and advanced beyond most other civilizations. When they turned their eyes on Earth, they saw a tiny, insignificant planet nestled in the corner of a remote galaxy. To them, Earth was nothing more than a curiosity, a primitive world, with barely enough technology to survive. The leader of the Empire gathered in their vast command center, seated at a long table made of black stone, surrounded by flickering holographic maps and reports. They had just received the news Earth was calling for peace talks, offering a chance to negotiate before their fleet arrived to take control of the planet. The Empire's generals and governors laughed aloud at the message, dismissing it as a joke. What do they think they can offer us? One of the generals sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. Their weapons are laughable, their ships are primitive. This will be no different from conquering any other backwater world. The Emperor, a tall and imposing figure CED in black armor, stood up from his Thron-Licky seat and looked down at the galaxy map projected before him. His cold, calculating eyes locked on Earth, a small blue dot surrounded by nothing but emptiness. Send the fleet. Let's show these humans their place in the universe. The Emperor ordered. His voice was calm, but beneath it lay a chilling confidence. The fleet was massive, hundreds of warships equipped with the most advanced technology in the galaxy, prepared to set course for Earth. In their minds, this was already a victory. They believed their firepower alone would intimidate the humans, forcing them to surrender without a fight. But the Empire had no idea what awaited them on Earth. Human had no intention of submitting quietly. The Earth's leaders knew the Empire would come, and they had prepared in secret for this day for years. The human military had been working on a hidden project. Earth's military might was underestimated by the galaxy's most powerful empire. But what the Empire didn't know was that Earth's soldiers had something far more important than advanced technology. They had heart, and that heart was about to make all the difference. As the Empire's fleet cruised through space nearing Earth, the commanders continued to mock the planet's weak defenses. They didn't even consider the idea that humans might have prepared for war. They laughed at the thought of Earth's soldiers being anything more than a minor inconvenience. They think they can stop us, another officer chuckled. We'll wipe them out in a matter of hours. But as the fleet neared Earth's orbit, something unexpected happened. The Empire SH ships began to detect unusual energy readings. At first, the readings were faint, almost impossible to notice. But soon they grew stronger. A fleet, no, that couldn't be right. There were no signs of any Earth military presence large enough to pose a threat. Commander, one of the technicians said, looking nervously at his console. We're picking up strange readings. Something's out there, something big. The commander turned to the technician, his expression turning from one of amusement to concern. What do you mean, strange readings? He demanded. The technician hesitated, then said, it's like nothing we've ever seen before. Something is cloaked, hiding just out of our detection range. The commander's eyes narrowed. Impossible. The humans don't have the technology to hide a fleet. Their ships are too weak to even withstand a single blast from our cannons. He looked out at the stars, through the command ship's viewports, trying to make sense of the situation. He could feel it now, that strange unease creeping through his mind. Continue monitoring, he ordered, trying to shake off the growing discomfort. But then, in the blink of an eye, the unthinkable happened. Earth's hidden fleet revealed itself. Dozens of stealth ships, each one a marvel of human ingenuity, emerged from their cloaks, surrounding the Empire's fleet. In an instant they were sleek, fast, and silent, their weapons primed and ready. The Earth fleet, small but highly advanced in its own right, was not what the Empire had expected. What is this? The commander gasped. How did they hide all of this from us? The reality of the situation began to sink in. Earth had a fleet, and it was not a small one. It was powerful, and it was ready for war. The Empire's laughter died. In an instant the commander's hands shook as he looked over his displays, the reality of the situation hitting him hard. Earth had outplayed them. The invincible Empire had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. The fleet was outnumbered, surrounded on all sides. Earth's ships held their position, their weapons aimed at the heart of the Empire's armada. Prepare for battle, the commander finally shouted, his voice filled with panic and disbelief. We're not going to let a bunch of primitives stop us. But as the battle began, one thing was clear. The Empire had made a grave mistake. Underestimating humanity had been the greatest error they would ever make. In the depths of space, amidst the flashes of lasers and the roar of engines, Earth's soldiers fought back with a fierceness that no one could have predicted. The battle had just begun, and the Empire had no idea what was coming for them. This wasn't going to be an easy conquest. After all, this wasn't going to be an easy conquest. After all, the human response, the Galactic Empire was in shock. Their mighty fleet, composed of some of the most advanced ships in the galaxy, was now surrounded by Earth stealth ships, and their confidence was slipping away with each passing second. The commanders on the Empire's warships had believed they were about to crush a weak, defenseless world, but Earth's unexpected response had shattered their arrogance inside the command center of the lead Empire ship. The atmosphere was tense. The commander, a tall alien with sharp features and a cold demeanor, slammed his fist onto the console in frustration. How could this happen, he muttered, still reeling from the sight of the human fleet suddenly appearing out of nowhere. These humans, they are not supposed to be capable of this. His second in command, a shorter officer with a patch over one eye, looked up from the display screens. Sir, the human ships are unlike anything we've ever encountered. They're equipped with advanced stealth technology that we can't even trace, but they don't have the numbers to challenge us. Right? The commander looked at him, his eyes narrowing. They may not have numbers, but they have something we didn't count on: strategy. They'd got us cornered, and we didn't even see it coming. While the Empire was in disarray, the humans aboard their ships were calm, focused, and ready for what lay ahead on Earth. The leaders had long prepared for the day the Empire would come. They had known the risks, but they also knew the stakes were too high to surrender without a fight, and so their response had been swift, secretive, and deadly. In the heart of Earth's command center, General Maya Hart stood, her hands clasped behind her back, watching the display screens. She had always believed in humanity's ability to overcome any obstacle, but even she had to admit that today's events were far beyond anything she'd ever expected. General, the Empire's fleet is much larger than we anticipated, said one of her officers, his voice steady but tanged with concern. But we've got them where we want them. It's time to strike. Maya nodded. We've waited long enough. Let's show them that Earth doesn't bow to anyone. The command center was filled with a hum of activity as the Earth fleet began its movements. Each ship, though smaller and fewer in number than the Empire's, was equipped with cutting-edge technology that the Empire had never seen before. These weren't just ordinary ships. They were stealth vessels, powered by advanced propulsion systems that made them virtually invisible to enemy sensors. The humans had been hiding in plain sight, biding their time, as Maya watched. A tactical officer approached her with an updated report. General, we've locked on to the Empire's flyship. They've lowered their shields in preparation for our next move. Maya smiled slightly. Let's give them a surprise they'll never forget. With a flick of her fingers, the fleet's command was issued. The human ships powered up their weapons and engaged their systems for battle. A series of sharp beeps filled the command center as the fleet's stealth systems disengaged, revealing their positions in a flash. The Empire ships saw their adversaries for the first time, an unexpected and shocking sight. The human fleet, though not as large, had the element of surprise on their side, and they were using it to their full advantage. The Empire's fleet was caught off guard. With the element of surprise gone, they scrambled to prepare for the fight. But it was too late. The human ships unleashed their weapons in a precise and devastating attack. Laser beams sliced through the void, striking the Empire's ships with deadly accuracy. In the chaos, a few of the Empire's ships were already starting to break apart under the force of the human firepower. What are they doing? One of the Empire officers screamed as a nearby ship exploded. How are they doing this? The comm commander looked at his monitors, eyes wide with disbelief. They are using some sort of advanced targeting system. The humans, they've upgraded their weapons. They're not just fighting with sheer numbers, they're fighting with precision. The Empire had underestimated humanity. They had assumed that Earth's military was weak, relying on outdated technology and crude tactics. But they were wrong. Earth's response was calculated and intelligent. The human soldiers, trained for years in secret, were now showing the Empire just how dangerous they could be. Maya's voice crackled over the comms, calm but filled with resolve. This is just the beginning. Let's make them understand why they should have never laughed at us. Her words echoed through the fleets as they continued their assault, pushing back against the Empire ships. Despite the overwhelming numbers of the Empire, Earth's military was proving that the greatest strength of all was human ingenuity and determination. The battle raged on, with both sides exchanging fire in the cold vacuum of space. But the humans had one advantage: the Empire didn't account for their will to fight. Each laser blast, Each move they made was fueled by a fierce desire to protect their world. The Empire, meanwhile, was beginning to realize just how big of a mistake they had made. The commanders of the Empire's fleet were no longer laughing. Instead, they were scrambling to respond to the unrelenting assault, their arrogance replaced by fear. The shock of facing an unexpected enemy was taking its toll. But for General Hart and her team, this was just the beginning. The true fight for Earth's survival was only just getting started, and the Empire was about to learn the hard way that underestimating humanity had been their biggest mistake. The Empire's regret as the battle raged on, the Empire's fleet, once filled with the arrogance of invincibility, was now drowning in confusion and regret. Their commanders watched in disbelief as their once pristine warships, equipped with the finest weapons the galaxy had ever known, began to suffer significant damage from the unexpected human attack. The humans, with their stealth technology and deadly precision, had turned the tide of battle in the blink of an eye. In the heart of the Empire's flagship, Commander Zorth stood, his fists clenched in anger. His once calm demeanor had been replaced by a deep sense of panic. His tactical officers were frantically scanning the fleet's movements, trying to regain control of the situation. But nothing was working. The human ships were too quick, too coordinated. What's happening? Zor demanded, his voice low and furious. Why haven't we destroyed them? Yet one of the officers hesitated, then spoke up. Commander, their technology is unlike anything we've encountered. Their ships are invisible to our sensors, and their weapons are more advanced than we could have imagined. It's not just the numbers that are against us, it's their tactics. They are picking us off one by one. Zor's eyes widened with realization. We underestimated them. No, we laughed at them. How could I have been so blind? The officer dared not speak further, but the feeling in the room was clear: fear. The Empire had made a grave mistake. They had assumed Earth would be easy to conquer, just like countless other worlds they had crushed. But Earth wasn't like the others. Earth's soldiers had shown that they were capable of so much more than the Empire had ever expected. Back in the depths of Earth's command center, General Maya Hart stood in front of a massive holographic display, watching the battle unfold. Her face was calm, her eyes focused on the screen. She could feel the weight of the situation, but she wasn't about to let her resolve falter. Her forces were making progress, but she knew the Empire would retaliate. This was far from over. The humans had made a bold statement, but they still had a long way to go. General, one of her officers said, breaking the silence, the Empire is regrouping. They're beginning to adapt to our tactics. If we don't push harder now, they'll counterattack with full force. M's jaw tightened, but she kept her cool. We've planned for this. We know how they think. We'll keep the pressure on them. Our forces are stronger than they realize. The officer nodded and turned back to his console. The plan had been set in motion long before the Empire arrived. Maya and her team had been preparing for this moment for years. Years of secret military operations, years of building advanced weapons and technology. They had taken everything into account. Now it was time to show the Empire that Earth's resolve was stronger than any weapon they could wield. Meanwhile, the Empire's fleet, still in disarray, was struggling to mount a counter-offensive. They had assumed their superior numbers and technology would be enough to crush the human resistance, but they hadn't counted on the humans' ability to adapt to surprise. Every time they tried to regroup, Earth's fleet would strike, causing further chaos among their ranks. The commander of the Empire's Second Fleet, Admiral Croth, had been watching the situation unfold from his flagship. His once immense confidence had crumbled as he witnessed the destruction of several of his ships. The humans had been using their stealth technology to target the Empire's vulnerable spots, making their ships nearly impossible to hit. Danik Crow roared, "These humans, they're not just fighting back, they're tearing us apart. We've been wrong all along." His second in command, a young officer with a nervous expression, hesitated before speaking. "Sir, it may be time to reconsider our approach. We could send for reinforcements from the core systems, perhaps." "We know," Karoth snapped. "We don't have time for reinforcements. We need to end this now, or will be the end of us." He turned to his communications officer. "Order all ships to focus on the human fleet's flagship. We'll take them out and show them who's in charge." The officer nodded and relayed the order. Within moments, the entire Empire fleet shifted their focus, concentrating their firepower on Earth's flagship. Waves of laser beams and missile barrages lit up the vastness of space, but the human ship remained steadfast, its advanced shields holding firm against the onslaught. Back on Earth's flagship, General Hart's face remained calm. The Empire's desperation was evident, but Maya knew their assault was just beginning. The Empire's might had not yet been fully tested, and the humans had something the Empire would never understand: the will to fight. General, one of her tactical officers, said, his voice full of urgency. The Empire has concentrated their fire on our flagship. We're taking heavy damage, but we're still holding strong. Maya nodded, her expression unchanged. We knew this was coming. Stay the course. We've prepared for this moment. If they want to see how strong we are, we'll show them. The battle intensified as Earth's flagship weathered the Empire's assault. But despite their strength and fury, the Empire had underestimated the human spirit. Each blast that hit the flagship was met with a counterstrike, and each moment the Empire's fleet delayed was another moment Earth's forces used to their advantage. In the vast expanse of space, amidst the fiery explosions and chaos of battle, it was becoming clear to the Empire that their arrogance had cost them dearly. They had expected Earth to bow before them, but instead they were facing a fight that would make them question everything they thought they knew about the universe. And as General Hart watched the flames of battle light up the cold, dark space, she knew that this was only the beginning. The real test was yet to come. The turning point, the battle between Earth and the Galactic Empire, had shifted. What began as a light-hearted dismissal of humanity's capabilities was now a struggle for survival. The Empire's arrogance had turned into frustration and fear, as their massive warships, once invincible, now lay damaged and burning. The humans had turned the tide, and the Empire's fleet was no longer sure of its own superiority. On the Empire's flagship, Commander Zorth paced back and forth, eyes flickering across the chaotic scene in front of him. His tactical officers were scrambling to find a way to regain the upper hand, but the human stealth technology and unrelenting assault had caught them off guard at every turn. His once calm voice now had a note of desperation. "We've tried everything," Zorth muttered, his hands clenched into fists. "Our weapons, our tactics, they're useless against them." A junior officer nervously approached, holding a data pad in his hands. "Sir, we've detected something unusual. The human flagship has activated a new weapon system. We believe it's a type of energy cannon, massive output." Zor's heart skipped a beat. "A new weapon? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "We only just detected it, sir," the officer stammered. "It's unlike anything we've encountered." Zor's mind raced. "This battle isn't over yet. If they're using something like that, we need to act fast. Redirect all power to the shields. We'll survive this, but we can't afford any more mistakes." Meanwhile, on Earth's flagship, General Maya Hart was standing at the front of the command center, watching her officers relay crucial updates. Their assault on the Empire's fleet had caused significant damage, but they hadn't won the war just yet. Every move had to be calculated, and every decision had to be swift. "We have one shot at this," Maya said, her voice steady yet filled with determination. "Prepare the energy cannon. This is our chance." To their fleet, her chief engineer, a veteran with a grim face, gave her a nod. "It's ready, General. If we fire, we'll have to make sure it counts. The Empire won't stand still for long." Maya's eyes narrowed as she studied the display in front of her. "They're underestimating us. They think they can outlast us, but they're wrong. Earth soldiers don't give up." With a signal, the massive energy cannon hidden within the heart of their flagship powered up. The weapon was something humanity had developed in secret for years. The Empire never knew it existed, and now it was Earth's turn to show them what they were capable of. The cannon charge, and a deadly beam of concentrated energy lit up the darkness of space, heading straight toward the Empire's fleet. Zor's eyes widened as the sensor reading spiked. "What is that?" he demanded. "Sir, it's the human flagship's new weapon. They're firing." Before Zorth could react, the energy beam hit one of his battle cruisers head-on. The ship exploded in a burst of light, scattering debris across space. The shock wave rocked the Empire's fleet, and the remaining ships began to panic. Earth had just delivered a devastating blow. Zorth could hardly believe his eyes. "Impossible," he muttered. "This can't be happening." Across the galaxy, other Empire commanders watched the devastation unfold, struggling to comprehend what they were witnessing. The humans had taken them by surprise, and it was clear now that the Empire had underestimated them. The Empire's invincible fleet was no longer so invincible. Back on Earth's flagship, General Hart stood still, watching the destruction unfold on her screen. The Empire's fleet was scattering, trying to regroup, but they were losing momentum. The energy cannon had been a success, and the tide of battle was turning in their favor. "General, the Empire is retreating," her communications officer reported. We've broken through their line, Maya nodded. But her face remained serious. This isn't over. The Empire will come back. They'll regroup. And they'll attack with everything they have. Her officer hesitated. But we've crippled their fleet. They're no longer a threat. Maya turned to him, her eyes filled with a quiet resolve. This battle has shown them our strength. We've made our mark, but the war is far from over. We can't afford to get complacent. We have to stay vigilant. The Empire will come back harder than before. Back on the Empire's flagship, Zorth watched as his forces regrouped, their ships retreating into the safety of the nearby asteroid field. The damage was done. But the fight was far from over. The humiliation of being bested by a race they had deemed inferior burned deep within him. We need a new plan, Zorth said. Coldly, we can't let Earthwind prepare for a counterattack. We'll crush them no matter what it takes. His officers nodded. And the once proud fleet of the Empire began to retreat into the depths of space. But they knew this was only the beginning. Earth had just shown them that even the greatest empire in the galaxy could fall, and humanity would not be so easily defeated. As the two forces pulled back to regroup, a new understanding began to form. The EMP Empire had underestimated Earth's soldiers, and Earth had revealed its strength. The next time they met, neither side would be so quick to dismiss the other. This battle had been won. But the war was far from over. The Empire strikes back. The Galactic Empire had never faced an adversary like Earth. What had started as a minor skirmish, an underestimation of humanity's potential, was now a war that threatened the Empire's very existence. After the devastating attack on their fleet, the Empire was not one to back down. They would regroup, rearm, and retaliate with even more force. Commander Zorth stood on the bridge of the Empire's remaining flagship, staring out at the vast expanse of space. The quiet hum of the ship's engines and the beeping of consoles filled the room, but Zor's mind was far from calm. The battle had been a crushing blow, and Earth had proved it had the ability to fight back. The humans had resources, ingenuity, and resilience, three things Zorth and the Empire had grossly underestimated. We have to end this now, Zorth said, his voice hard and determined. He turned to his officers, who were nervously watching the damage reports. Our fleet is not what it once was, but Earth's forces are scattered, and they won't expect to counterstrike this powerful. We will launch everything we have and break their defense once and for all. The officers nodded in agreement. The Empire was known for its relentless attacks, and Zorth was preparing for the most devastating offensive. Yet their plan was simple but brutal: strike quickly, strike hard, and make Earth regret ever daring to challenge them. Meanwhile, on Earth's flagship, General Maya Hart stood in the command center, overseeing the aftermath of their victory. The massive energy cannon had devastated the Empire's fleet. But Maya knew this wasn't the end. The Empire would never let a defeat like that slide. They were too powerful, too determined to remain the galaxy's dominant force. Maya glanced over at her chief engineer, who was busy reviewing the battle data. What's the status of our defenses? She asked, her voice tense. We've taken some heavy hits, General. The engineer replied, our shields are holding, but we need more time to fully recharge the weapons. It won't be enough if the Empire comes at us with everything they've got. Maya's expression hardened. We don't have time. We have to prepare for a counterattack now. If they come at us with everything, we need to be ready. As if on cue, the alarms blared throughout the ship, signaling a massive fleet incoming. Maya's heart raced. She knew what this meant. The Empire was coming, and they were coming with all their strength. Get the fleet in position. I want all ships on high alert, Maya ordered, her voice sharp with authority. We can't let them catch us off guard. Her officers scrambled to carry out her orders. Maya watched as the holographic display in front of her updated with the positions of the Empire's fleet. The enemy was coming in fast, overwhelmingly fast. Back in the Empire's command center, Zorth stood before the massive holographic display showing the position of Earth's fleet. His face was set in a grim expression. He had only one goal now: destroy Earth and crush humanity's resistance once and for all. Prepare the entire fleet, Zorth commanded. We'll launch everything we have. There will be no mercy this time. The Empire's ships, once scattered and retreating, now moved in unison. Their weapons powered up, their shields reinforced. The massive force they had brought to bear was ready for battle as the two forces neared each other in the cold depths of space. Maya stood in front of her command station. Her fists clenched. The odds were stacked against them, but Earth's soldiers had faced worse and survived. She wasn't about to let the Empire destroy everything they had fought for. Hold steady, everyone, Maya said, her voice filled with resolve. This is our moment. We stand together, and we fight as one. We will not fall. Her words reverberated through the entire fleet, strengthening the resolve of the soldiers who had come to see Earth's military as a force to be reckoned with. The Empire had learned a hard way that humanity would not back down. And now, as the two fleets prepared to clash in a battle that would determine the fate of Earth and the Empire, the stakes had never been higher. The first shots were fired as the two fleets collided. Energy beams lit up the darkness of space, and the sound of distant explosions reached across the battlefield. Earth's fleet fired back with everything they had, their stealth ships darting in and out of the Empire's line of fire, delivering devastating blows. But the Empire wasn't done, yet their counterattack was swift and merciless, raining destruction down on Earth's ships. In the midst of the chaos, Maya's voice cut through the noise. Deploy the reserve fleet. We need to break through their defenses. The reserve fleet, hidden in the farthest reaches of space, now emerged, catching the Empire off guard. The sudden appearance of additional human forces shifted the balance of the battle, throwing the Empire's fleet into disarray. Zor's eyes narrowed as he realized what was happening. They're using the reserve fleet. They've been planning for this. His voice grew more frantic as Earth ships pushed forward, their energy weapons tearing through the Empire. Ships and defenses. The Empire was losing ground, and Zorth knew they had to act quickly. They couldn't afford another humiliating defeat. This ends. Now, he bellowed. All forces concentrate fire on their flagship. We will destroy them once and for all. The final battle for Earth's survival had begun as both fleets clashed in a storm of energy and firepower. No one knew how it would end, with humanity's soldiers who had shown their strength and ingenuity defeat out of the Galactic Empire once more. Or would the Empire finally crush Earth's resistance and prove that no force, no matter how determined, could stand against them? The fate of the galaxy rested on the outcome of this battle. The turning tide. The battle raged on the cold void of space, lit up by flashing energy blasts and the thunderous roar of weapons discharging. Earth's fleet, though battered, held its ground, its soldiers fighting with a fierce determination that stunned the Galactic Empire. But the enemy's strength was overwhelming. Each wave of Empire ships slammed into Earth's defenses with unyielding force, each blast sending shock waves through the human ships. Commander Zor's face was a mask of grim determination as he stood at the command center of his flagship. The Empire's fleet had the advantage, but he could sense something, an undercurrent of uncertainty within his ranks. The humans weren't backing down, and that was beginning to concern him. Report, Zorth barked, his voice echoing through the room. The officer at the console looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. Commander, Earth's reserve fleet is overwhelming us. They're coordinating their attacks flawlessly. Our shields are failing faster than anticipated. We've lost half of our warships already. Zor's fist slammed into the console in frustration. How does this possible? He muttered. We outnumber them. They should have crumbled by now. But the humans, despite being outnumbered, fought with something that Zorth had never anticipated, a raw, untamed drive. Their military might, enhanced by their advanced tactics and ingenuity, had turned the tide of the battle in their favor. Earth soldiers weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove their place in the galaxy. General Hart, Maya's voice came over the communication channel, strong and steady despite the chaos. How are we holding up? Maya stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, her eyes scanning the battle before her. The situation was dire, but Earth's forces weren't giving an inch. She could see the Empire's fleet beginning to falter as their ships started to retreat, unsure of how to deal with the resilience of humanity. We're holding, General, her tactical officer replied, his voice tense. But the Empire isn't done yet. We've taken down many of their ships, but their reinforcements are endless. We need something to turn the tide for good. Maya nodded, her thoughts racing. The Empire's fleet was powerful, but they were beginning to make critical mistakes. As they pushed forward, their formations were growing sloppy, their responses slower. It was as if their confidence was starting to crack under the pressure. Maya knew this was their chance to strike the final blow. Prepare the experimental weapons, Maya ordered. This is our moment. The new weapons, still untested in battle, were Earth's secret hope. They were designed to exploit the Empire's greatest weakness, its reliance on massive, bulky warships. These experimental weapons were small, precise, and could pierce through the toughest of armor. It was time to unleash them, General, an officer said. We're ready. The weapons are primed. Maya's gaze hardened. Launch them. Target their largest flagship. The Empire's massive ships, once thought indestructible, now faced the wrath of humanity's most advanced technology. The weapons barely visible against the backdrop of space streaked through the void, homing in on their target with precision. Speed Zor's flagship, the heart of the Empire's fleet, was about to face its reckoning, as the experimental weapon struck the flagship of the Empire, erupted in a massive explosion. The shock wave reverberated through the battlefield, sending ripples of destruction across the Empire's remaining ships. The loss of their flagship was a crippling blow to the Empire's morale, and it was enough to break the tide of battle. Impossible, Zorth screamed as he watched the devastation unfold. His eyes widened in disbelief. The flagship, once a symbol of the Empire's power, was now a cloud of debris. How could they have done this, sir? We're losing control, his officer reported urgently. The fleet is in disarray. They've broken through our lines. Zorth stood frozen, his mind racing. The tide had turned, and it was clear that Earth's soldiers had tipped the scales in their favor. They had proven something that the Empire could never have predicted. They had shown that the power of sheer will, ingenuity, and determination could match and even surpass the might of the most formidable fleet in the galaxy. Back on Earth's flagship, Maya's face was lit up by the flashing lights of victory. But she knew the war wasn't over. Not yet. The Empire had been dealt a severe blow. But they were not defeated. Not entirely. Status report, Maya said, her voice calm but commanding. We've crippled their flagship and taken down several key ships. Her tactical officer replied, but the rest of their fleet is still fighting, and they're beginning to regroup. They'll come for us again. We'll be ready, Maya said, determination in her eyes. We've taken a major step, but now we finish this. The Empire, the wounded, wasn't going to let Earth go without one final fight. But as the battle continued, the humans knew that they had proven something to the galaxy. The Galactic Empire, despite its size and power, was not invincible. And in that moment, humanity had earned its place in the stars. As the ships began to regroup, Earth's soldiers prepared for what would be the final confrontation. It was a battle not just for Earth's survival, but for humanity's future in the galaxy. Would they finally defeat the Empire, or would the Empire make one last desperate attempt to crush them? The answer lay in the next moments that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The final confrontation. The stars above Earth seemed to burn brighter, as if they too were waiting for the final act of the war. The battlefield, now scared and torn from the previous encounters, lay in eerie silence. Both sides were gathering their strength for the last clash, the final confrontation that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but of the galaxy itself. On Earth's flagship, General Maya stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Empire had regrouped, but they were no longer the unstoppable force they once seemed to be. The loss of their flagship and countless warships had shaken their morale. However, the Empire was known for its ruthless determination, and they would not go down easily. They're coming, said the officer at the tactical station, his voice tense, as he watched the enemy fleet forming a new battle formation. This is it, General Maya's expression hardened. Hold your positions. We have one chance to end this. We cannot afford to make any mistakes. The Empire's fleet loomed large, a final desperate wave of steel and fire at the head of their forces. The towering FL flagship of the Empire advanced, though it was now scared and battered. Zorth stood at the helm, his eyes burning with fury and disbelief. He had underestimated Earth's power, underestimated its soldiers. And now the galaxy would pay the price. Prepare all weapons, Zorth growled, his voice low and dangerous. They'll learn the true power of the Empire. We crushed them here. But Maya wasn't shaken on Earth's flight ship. The crew was working together seamlessly, every soldier knowing their role. There was no fear among them, only resolve for them. This battle was not just about survival, it was about proving their place in the cosmos. Admiral, all systems are ready, her officer reported. We've positioned our fleet for maximum impact. Maya nodded. Launch the fighters. Let's show them that we are not to be underestimated. The moment the command was given, Earth's fleet surged forward, their fighters darting through the void of space like a swarm of deadly wasps. Laser fire lit up the dark sky, and the sounds of battle rang in the airless expanse. The Empire's fleet retaliated fiercely, but the humans were not as easy to defeat as they had thought. Keep pushing forward. Do not let them recover, Zorth ordered, his eyes wide with rage. But despite his orders, Earth's forces were relentless, their tactics and speed overwhelming the Empire's slower, more cumbersome ships. Then Maya gave the signal, Earth's secret weapon, The experimental weapons were activated once more. They had been tested, refined. And now it was time to unleash them in full force. Fire everything, Maya commanded. The sky exploded as Earth's weapons launched with devastating accuracy. The Empire ships, the heavily armored, began to crumble under the precision of the strikes. Each targeted attack ripped through the Empire's fleet like a hot knife through butter. Zor's flagship, the heart of their forces, was once again in the crosshairs of Earth's newest weapon. This time, there would be no escape. No, Zor shouted as the final blast struck his flagship. The ship trembled violently before exploding in a massive fireball in debris scattering in all directions. The sight of their once imposing flagship reduced to ashes sent a shock wave through the Empire's ranks. The remaining ships, now leaderless and broken, faltered. It was over. Zor's pride, his arrogance, had led to his downfall, and now the Empire would have to face the consequences of underestimating humanity. General, they are retreating, one of Maya's officers announced. The Empire's forces are in disarray. They're pulling back, abandoning the battlefield. Maya's lips curled into a faint smile. But she didn't celebrate just yet. The war was won, but it had come at a great cost. Earth's fleet had taken heavy damage, and many good men and women had fallen in battle. However, there was no question now. Earth had proven itself. Prepare a message for the galaxy, Maya said, her voice firm. We are not just a planet to be conquered. We are humanity, and we will never be erased. As the last of the Empire ships flood Earth's fleet turned back to the home they had fought so hard to protect, the battle was over. But the message had been clear. Humanity had earned its place in the stars, and the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. And somewhere deep in the heart of space, a new chapter for humanity began, one where they would no longer be the underdog, but a force to be reckoned with.